Castellano had been living with Michelle Warren and their 3-year-old son in an apartment in Houston. When Michelle did not show up for a scheduled visitation with her older child, her ex-husband alerted her family. The family contacted Castellano, who told them that Michelle left after the two had an argument. The police began a missing person investigation. Immediately after Michelle's disappearance, Castellano moved to Odessa with their son to live with his parents. The investigating officers contacted him and asked him to return to Houston to be interviewed. He agreed. The interview lasted a couple of hours. Eventually Castellano admitted that he caused Michelle's death and dumped her body in an oil field in Midland. In the recorded interview, which was played for the jury in its entirety, Castellano said that he was arguing with Michelle. She swung her hand at him, then he grabbed her neck and threw her onto the bed. At one point he said that he fell with her, twisted, heard a pop, her tongue stuck out, and that was it. There was no going back. At another point he said, "I grabbed her by the neck and before I knew it, I broke her neck or choked her or whatever." He also said that he sat there and held it and by the time I realized what I did, she was dead. Finally, during a physical demonstration with the officers, he said he fell on her and crushed her windpipe, then was on top of her for like a minute and a half or two and locked up, demonstrating his arms fully extended outward. Castellano provided the officers with written directions to locate Michelle's body. The officers found her half-buried body where he had indicated. They also found Castellano's and Michelle's personal items in a dumpster near the home of Castellano's parents in Odessa. The sole defense witness, a forensic engineer who specialized in biomechanical engineering, neuroelectrical engineering, and mechanical engineering, testified that his analysis of Michelle's injuries were consistent with Castellano's explanation. He opined that her injuries were consistent with sudden force being applied from the front of her neck and with a person falling on her. He testified that the physical evidence was inconsistent with prolonged squeezing of the neck because he did not find any evidence of force applied on the sides of her neck. However, he agreed that someone could be strangled from the front without applying pressure to the sides of the neck. Further, he testified that he was not qualified to give an opinion on the cause of death. The Harris County Assistant Medical Examiner testified that Michelle died from strangulation. She noted 2 fractures in her airway and petechiae markings on the skin, both of which, she stated, are consistent with strangulation. She testified that she found skin discoloration in the front and on the sides of the neck but not on the back, which she explained would be consistent with someone applying pressure from the front of the neck. In her opinion, it was unlikely that a person would die from being grabbed by the neck and thrown to the bed under someone else's weight even if there was a pop sound unless there was prolonged compression of the neck. The medical examiner also testified that Michelle's 2 fractures, one to her hyoid bone and the other to her cricoid cartilage, did not completely obstruct her airway. Therefore, in the medical examiner's opinion, prolonged compression contributed to her death. Castellano did not testify at his trial. The jury charge asked the jury to determine whether Castellano was guilty of murder, guilty of manslaughter, or not guilty, including by reason of self-defense. The jury found him guilty of murder. During the punishment phase of the trial, the jury was asked whether Castellano was under the immediate influence of sudden passion arising from an adequate cause. It concluded that he was not. The jury assessed punishment at 27 years confinement and a fine. He appealed. He lost that appeal. He is now 48 years old and is housed on TDCJ McConnell Unit. He will be eligible for parole March 31, 2026.